So graphical user interface has gone through two major eras, both of which have been kicked off by Apple. The Mac was the first personal computer with graphical and windowed user interface enabled by mouse. The iPhone is the first multi-touch device that enabled more direct manipulation of on-screen objects. So both these finger-driven and the mouse-driven UI has enabled entirely new platforms and creation of massive companies. Mobile apps have put software in the hands of nearly every person on the planet. But disruption theory states that at some point a technology becomes good enough that any further attempts to improve it will not meaningfully impact the user. So, has the graphical user interface reached the point? One such exploration began in late 2015 when Slack introduced its bot framework. In Build 2016, Microsoft introduced its bot framework as part of Conversation as a platform. And Satya Nadella said, "We envision a world where digital experiences mirror the way people interact with one another today, and intelligence will be infused throughout all interactions." So, let's see why conversational UI is being considered as an alternative to graphical user interface. Messenger apps like the Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp are among the most popular apps among smartphone users. So the Messenger UI is a design paradigm that most people can understand. Communication is the first-class citizen in messaging apps. Talking to people is what messaging apps do, and they can wholly orient around communication. Messaging is real-time. Mobile apps are usually solitary affairs among themselves, but messaging user interface cry out to be interacted with and collaborated upon. Slack, Microsoft, and Facebook are currently poised to take advantage of this disruptive messaging wave. Each of these companies have their own bot framework, which enables developers to create bots that can engage in a conversation with the user. Apple leadership seems to be aware of this messaging opportunity, and hence, on June 13, 2016, in WWDC, they have announced a way to create mini apps that can run inside iMessage, known as the iMessage extensions. Let's quickly go over what iMessage is. iMessage is a built-in app in your iPhone where the iOS users can use that to send text, photos, videos to other iOS and Mac users over data plan or Wi-Fi. So it's an alternative to SMS and MMS messaging. Users can register their iPhones with Apple provided their carrier is supported. When a message is sent to a user, the Messages app talks to Apple to see if they have their phone registered to be enabled with the iMessage. If not, it will seamlessly transition the message to use SMS. In iMessage, the green bubbles represent SMS conversation, and the blue bubbles indicate iMessage conversation. iMessage is based on Apple Push Notification Service, which is a proprietary binary protocol. So, why do we need iMessage extensions? We at Microsoft have done some data analysis on free English text message datasets that are out there. Upon generating the word cloud from this dataset, you can see certain categories start to light up. The most obvious ones being emotional response, or showing agreement to something, or wishing someone a happy birthday. How many times have you sent a happy birthday message with the balloon emoji? Trust me, I love those messages, but can this timeless interaction be made more immersive? And emojis are the most popular way to express emotions. The other category is planning, where you send a message to your friend saying, "Hey, do you want to meet up at this restaurant?" But let's say your friend doesn't know about that restaurant. He or she will go to a search app, research more about the restaurant, and come back and respond to you whether they are in or they would prefer something else. Just notice how many times your friend had to context switch. Read the restaurant name in iMessage, go to the search app, research about it, and come back to iMessage in order to respond. The iMessage updates in iOS 10 try to enrich these conversations happening between the users with iPhones. Let's quickly go over the iOS 10 iMessage updates that have happened. Once you open a thread inside your iMessage app, you can expand this arrow to gain access to the new menu. The first icon is the camera icon, which gives instant access to your photos and videos so that you can insert them into your conversation. You can even take a photo in line and insert it into the conversation immediately. The second icon is the digital touch icon. This is same as the digital touch on your iWatch. You can send heartbeats, fireballs, scribbles. You can even take a photo or a video and write something on top of it and send this customized media into the conversation. You have something called an emoji translator, which basically translates the text into emojis for you. You can first type out your message in the text field and then change your keyboard to the built-in emojis option. This will automatically highlight the text inside your text message that has a corresponding emoji for it. You can tap on that text to replace it with the emoji. You can press and hold on this green arrow to open something called as the effects overlay. The bubble effects basically describes the animation with which the text bubble would be placed inside your receiver's iMessage stream. For example, if you select the first option, the bottom option called the invisible ink, the receivers will not be able to read the message until they actually tap on it. So basically just some fun animations that you can use to send the text message. You can change the tab here on the effects overlay to gain access to something called the screen effects. You have a bunch of about 5 or 6 options of the screen effects that you can choose from, like balloons, fireworks, heart symbols. When you send a text with these screen effects, the entire background of your receiver's iMessage would be updated with this fun animation. The last but the most important update is the ability to install third-party apps that can run inside iMessage. Remember where your friend had to context switch from iMessage to the search app and back to the iMessage to respond? Now, with these iMessage apps, users can perform all conversation intent activities right inside iMessage without doing any context switching. So conversation intent activities include stuff like sending money to someone you owe, searching and sending GIFs, or doing the movie and the restaurant planning. You can access the installed third-party iMessage apps by clicking on this third icon, which looks like an App Store icon. It will open up to one of the iMessage apps that you have installed. There are, by default, I think there are about 3 iMessage apps that are already installed for you. One is image search, and another is a handwriting where you can use your finger to write customized text and send that as an image to the message stream. You can also tap on these 4 icons, which will open something called an app drawer. This will give you access to the swipeable list of all the iMessage apps that you have installed on your device. Tap on the store icon to gain access to the iMessage App Store, from where you can install even more apps that you want. There are 2 types of iMessage extensions, sticker packs and iMessage apps. Sticker packs are what the name suggests. They're basically a list of stickers that you can drag and drop at any point in your message stream. So here I have some heart symbols with my adorable son's picture. So I can place the heart symbol where exactly I want it. And let's say if the other user does not have an iOS 10 device, it would just be sent as an image right after the photo. So the placement wouldn't be retained on a non-iOS 10 device. The iMessage apps you can use that for more complicated and other interactive applications to generate iMessages. I'll give some examples later on. So these sticker packs and iMessage apps can exist just by themselves, or they can be associated with a parent iOS app. So iMessages are used in the context of informal, fast-paced conversation among 2 or more users. Try to leverage this environment to encourage more back-and-forth conversation by sharing, editing, and augmenting content. For clarity and ease of use, make sure your iMessage extension has a single focus. For example, don't try to combine within a single iMessage extension to provide a list of sticker packs while also trying to plan an event. If your iMessage extension is primarily for static content, like text, photos, GIFs, or videos, make sure your list is easy to scroll and also easy to select to insert into the conversation. If your iMessage extension is something more interactive, like a collaborative takeout order, make sure your UI is very concise and very intuitive. Users want to get back to their conversation, so make sure that the iMessage that they want to generate can be done with minimum number of clicks or taps. So iMessage has been released to the public for less than 6 months. So there are not really too many statistics out there about this. The next couple of slides are what stats I was able to find. As of November 2016, of the revenue that is generated from iMessage extensions, 80% of it comes from sticker packs. Personally, when sticker packs was announced, I did not think they would garner much interest. But I guess people really want to get the exact right image that represents their emotions, and they're willing to put money for it. Some of the iOS apps have exploded their download rates by associating an iMessage extension. Remember, when you install an iMessage extension, you will automatically install the parent app onto your phone. I personally am not a huge fan of this feature. Like, I'd be increasing too many apps on my phone where all I wanted was an iMessage extension. But this is the same as with the Watch extension, and I haven't really seen people complain about it. Let's quickly go over the Xcode support for the iMessage. When you create a new project, you now have the ability to create a messages application or a sticker packs. The Xcode simulator is also now populated with 2 users who can send and receive messages among themselves. You can use this UI to test your iMessage extension and test out how your iMessage looks from a sender perspective and how it looks once the receiver responds to it. Sticker pack creation is extremely easy. You do not require any code. All you need are the design assets of your stickers and for your app icon, and you're pretty much done. This is an open source sticker pack project that I found where you can see all the Husky stickers out there. And this is how it looks inside the Xcode simulator once I run the project. See how you can drag and drop the stickers into the conversation. So the iMessage extensions are rendered in 2 kinds of presentation styles. One is this is called the compact mode, where you have only part of the device screen to render your iMessage UI. And this is called the expanded mode, where you have the entire screen to render your iMessage extension UI in. You can move into the expanded mode either from programmatically or by using the arrow that seems to be pointing up at the bottom right corner. Let's go over the iMessage SDK. So let's first go over the classes that are associated with sticker packs. I know I just said that you don't really need any code for sticker packs, but if you want to do some specialized views or any particular customizations of single sticker, you would instead need to use an iMessage app and make the MS Sticker browser view controller as your root view controller. This view controller will hold the list of all the stickers that need to be rendered, and this list can be changed dynamically. The MS Sticker browser view renders those stickers, and it supports the drag and drop functionality that you just saw in the previous slide. You can use the MS Sticker view to customize the size of the particular sticker that you want to enhance or customize. And MS Sticker is the format in which the list of the stickers are stored inside the browser view controller. The MS Message template layout represents the UX of the iMessage that the iMessage extensions can generate. So they have very limited UI to play with. You can specify an image title, subtitle, caption, subcaption, and trailing caption. It is up to the iMessage extension to decide which of these UXs that they do want to use, UX elements they do want to use in the iMessage that they generate. The example that I have out there is the Woo iMessage extension app. So MS Message App View Controller is the central class for the creation of any interactive iMessage apps. It manages the state of the extension, tracks the messages, and it works with the presentation style. This App View Controller provides us methods that are similar to the app delegate methods in your iOS app. So it provides us the ability to run code at different points in your iMessage extension lifecycle. The MS Message App View Controller also reports when the presentation styles are changed from compact to expanded or the other way around, so that the iMessage extension can update its UI accordingly. Also, when you tap on an iMessage, this App View Controller will read in the data and provide it and give the access to the developers so that they can update accordingly. You typically launch the iMessage app once you're inside a particular thread that you're interested in. So the MS conversation stores the current active thread. It references all the users in the thread with unique identifiers. This enables the developers to distinguish between users. But remember, these are just some random GUIDs, and Apple does not share any sort of personal information of the users with the developers. The MS Message App View controller that we saw in the previous slide holds an instance of this active MS conversation that represents the current thread. And this instance of MS conversation is used to insert the iMessage into the text field. The iMessage is represented by MS Message. There are two distinct content inside an MS Message. One is the UX, and the UX we saw previously is represented by the MS Message template layout. And second is the data that iMessage actually represents. So in this case, it would be the 2 restaurants, the number of the votes, and the time at which they are proposing the meeting to happen. So the frameworks that you can use to build iMessage apps, you can use the standard Swift to create your iMessage extension. Apple has given an amazing example in Ice Cream Builder app, which they've demoed at WWDC, and I've also provided a link to it, and it's written in Swift. You can also use cross-platform frameworks like React Native or Xamarin. We have used React Native in creating our iMessage extension, which I'll show a screenshot of. So these are some of the cons that you need to keep in mind when you're building an iMessage extension. You cannot directly post into the conversation. When an iMessage extension generates an iMessage, it is inserted only into the text field. Users have to make the explicit choice to insert that iMessage into the conversation. This is kind of against a truly conversational interface where apps can interact with the users just like you would interact with another person. When you're in a group conversation, it is possible that 2 users can simultaneously update the iMessage, resulting in one of them to win out. So you can tend to find yourself in having messages that have outdated information. Apple mentions this in WWDC briefly and recommends us to use some form of a cloud component, maybe iCloud, to make sure that all the data is safe and it can be retrieved at a later point to render inside the iMessage UI. And remember, this works only on iOS 10 devices. If your friend has an Android or an iOS 9 or lesser version of a device, they will get the image of the UX, and in the second message, they will get the URL which represents the data that is behind the iMessage. And if your URL doesn't really point to a web page, you can get a 404. One way to work around this, which we have done, is use React Native and combine it with the open source library called the React Native Web. This React Native Web will convert your React Native code and render it as a web page so that even Android users or the non-iOS users can at least see the data that is represented in the iMessage. iMessage extensions can only launch the parent app. They cannot launch into any other apps, deep link into any other apps. So in summary, it seems like the sticker packs seem to have very high return on investment. You must already have some sort of design assets as part of your app that you already have in the Apple Store, in your App Store, and you can just reuse those to create the sticker packs to generate more interest in your application. Build your iMessage apps to make the sharing of your app's content simpler. Also try to make sure that the iMessage extension that you are building has a conversation intent. Don't try to create an iMessage extension that doesn't really make sense to be used inside a conversation. Make your iMessage app's purpose simple and UX to be concise and taking minimum number of taps to generate your iMessage. So Husn is the app that we have built using React Native and React Native Web. It's not yet released, and if you're interested in beta testing, email me and I will send out the test flight details. So I've created a public gist with all the references that I've used. There is a lot of links that I didn't want to post here. And it also includes the link for the Ice Cream Builder app, which Apple has built using the native Swift code.